I was sharing my story with them last week, and their response to the story was, wow, I would have known. I would have never known. I thought you had your life all together. Sad part is, I've heard that time and time again. My parents were never married. They were together until I was about 8 months old. I had my first stepdad by the time I was 2, and they were divorced by the time I was 4. My dad picked me up every other weekend to spend time with him. But until the age of 6, I called him by his first name. So I literally went and had weekends with George. He signed birthday cards until I was 6 with his first name. I have no idea why that was allowed, but he's truly an amazing man and I love him to death. And looking back, I truly see how difficult our situation was. When I was 7, my mom enrolled me in a Lutheran school. She had introduced me to Christ and wanted to begin to build a foundation for me. We were baptized together when I was 7, and I attended the school until I graduated in 8th grade. I wish I could say that when I graduated, I was on fire for Christ and my foundation was solid, but it wasn't. December 26, 1992 forever changed my life. I was a 10-year-old little girl. I went to my dad's house for the weekend and for Christmas, and I never went back home. My world was shattered, turned upside down. Life as I knew it had disappeared. I was left behind, abandoned, and confused. You see, almost 20 years ago, my mom committed suicide while I was at my dad's house. The chaotic world I had been living in was exposed for all to see. My mom had suffered from depression for the last 3 years and had attempted to kill herself twice while I was in the house. I got good at taking care of her, but in one day, everything changed. When I returned to school from Christmas break, the principal of the Lutheran school I attended announced in chapel that my mom had committed suicide over the break. Within a year and a half, I lost all of my friends, and I was told by my 6th grade teacher that my mom was in hell. I could not wrap my mind around everything that happened after her death. The foundation that it built taught me that only God could judge you, but suddenly, the Lutheran school, the teachers, and the Christian parents seemed to contradict everything that had been taught. I questioned God being real. If he was real, why didn't he stop it? Why didn't he save her? Did I not behave well enough? Was he punishing me? These events allowed the enemy to hold me in chains for years. I shut down. I didn't trust people. I wanted to make sure that I remained in control at all times, so I was never hurt again. In high school, I tried to numb the pain by drinking, getting high, and partying as often as I could. Each year in high school, I changed best friends to make sure that they couldn't hurt me by rejecting me. I was a mean person. I made it a point to be rude to people so people wouldn't want to be my friends. I gossiped about people and made fun of them. I didn't care whose feelings I hurt, and I tried to mask who I was. I met Billy right after high school, and we couldn't stand each other at first. He said I had attitude, and to be honest, at the time I did. I thought I was ghetto. We started partying together and realized very quickly that we had to change our lifestyles to make our relationship work. I remember being pregnant with Alyssa, and my best friend's mom from 8th grade came in to give me a present for the baby. She looked straight at me and said, you know, I have to admit, I didn't expect you to turn out well. It was in that moment of time that it hit my scab. It began bleeding. It brought back the hurt of being rejected at school and reminded me that people thought I would amount to nothing. For years, I allowed my mom's death and the labels I received to define who I was as a person. I began fighting even harder. I believed that I had to prove that I was good enough. I went after money, power, title. I thought that if I had what the world says is important, I could hide my past hurts and no one would ever have to know my story. God continued to try to reach me throughout the years, but my chains were so tight that anytime anything got too close to the pain, I would run. I did not want to face it. I believed in him, but not in having a personal relationship with him. That required trust. For years, I was ashamed of my story. I felt guilty for not saving my mom. I felt abandoned, hurt, and rejected. Billy got a call to ministry, and we began a ministry training program. Our first week in the program, they were talking about dealing with unresolved issues. God started working in my heart. I knew he was telling me it was time to get counseling and deal with her death. I went to counseling for the 3rd time since her death. I was convinced I had dealt with it and was just going to prove to God that it was handled. That should have been my first clue, because you don't ever try to prove anything to God. He reveals it to you. It took me 19 years of carrying my baggage to fully understand that this situation does not define me. It does not make me who I am. The money, power, title, the worldly success does not define me. My identity comes from Christ alone. I am who He says I am, and He's had a plan for my life all along. The counseling revealed my motives for so many of my choices throughout the last 19 years. I allowed the enemy to speak to me for so long. I was shocked to see how everything stemmed back to the root of my unresolved issues. The scab that I never allowed to heal continued to bleed, and instead of taking it to God, I listened to the whispers telling me that I had to prove myself, that I would get hurt if I didn't stay in control, and that I would be happy if I just had more money and nicer things. See, God does not stop the bad from happening, but He does turn the bad to good. He's had plans for my life all along, and to be honest, I'm not sure what I missed while I was running from who I thought I was. What I do know is I'm on His path now, and I cannot wait for Him to reveal the next step. I know the enemy will try to attack. He doesn't want my story heard. The enemy wants me to continue to hide in the background, afraid of being hurt and rejected. I know that is not God's plan for my life. This December marks 20 years since my mom's death. For 20 years, the enemy has kept me silent and too afraid to publicly share my story. So here I am, before Him, wearing my scars freely for all to see. Looking back at my story, it truly kills me to think that it all stemmed from a choice my mother made. She was hurting and broken. She chose to end her life, which had a ripple effect on everyone around her. I was an innocent little girl whose world was shattered by a choice someone else made. The enemy seized the opportunity to begin to whisper lies to me, to hold me in bondage for years. He had succeeded with my mom, and He had me right where He wanted me. I was too scared to stand up. Each time I tried, He would knock me back down. I truly believe in this room tonight, there are people who need to stand up, who need to face their fear. I believe that we've all had circumstances beyond our control affect our lives, whether it be a death of a loved one, divorce, abandonment of a parent, whatever it is. I believe the enemy has been whispering to you, deceiving you, and has been keeping you on the ground. I believe that there are people in this room who have secrets that they don't want to be heard. I believe that you are ashamed of your story, or afraid of what people will think if they really knew you. I believe the enemy has been working overtime to keep you from being free. Like me, you have a choice to stand up and wear your scars freely for all to see.